Hello boys and girls, and welcome back to Art This Week. We are going to be working with 1 point perspective, and we are making a collage, and we are also using analogous colors. And analogous colors are 3 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So I'm using blue, green, and purple. Now, if you don't have construction paper, you are welcome to paint your own paper, wait for that to dry, and then use that instead. I also have black paper and white paper as well for this project. I'm also going to need glue, a pencil, and some scissors. So to get started, we are going to create our 1 point perspective. And we're going to do this by creating strips of triangles that are going to lead to 1 point, the vanishing point, on our paper. So to create our strips of paper so that they're all the same length and size, we want to take our black piece of paper and fold it so that we have 4 different sections. So you want to make sure that you're folding it long ways. That way we know the strips of paper are all going to line up all the way across the paper, and they're not going to be too short. So we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it in half so that we have 2 pieces together. And then we're going to fold it in half 1 more time. Now after we fold it in half, we're going to have places where the pieces connect. So we want to cut off the areas that are going to connect together. So we're going to take our scissors and cut along one side where they connect together. And then we're going to flip it and do the other side as well. And that way we have 4 strips of paper that are the same size and same width. So now we're going to create 3 triangles on each piece. So we'll have 12 different triangles total that are going to go around our page. So we're going to start at the bottom corner, and we're going to make a long triangle. So it's like a diagonal line that goes from that corner to the middle of the top of our paper. And then we're going to take that middle of the top and we're going to draw a diagonal line that goes to the bottom corner. And I'm actually going to turn my paper around to make it a little easier for me to create that diagonal line that goes from the middle to the bottom. Okay, so we're going to have 2 smaller triangles and 1 really big triangle in the middle. So I'm going to cut out along those lines that I created. I'm going to hold on to all 4 pieces of paper as best as I can so that it creates the points nice and neatly together. So I'm following the paper up so that the edge of the paper has a nice point to it. Those cut out. Now I'm going to follow that line again, starting from the corner. Holding on to the strips of paper so that they don't come apart, because we want them to have a nice point at the end. All right. Okay, so now I have my triangles all cut out, and these are the biggest ones, so I'm going to put them in one area, and then we have a little bit smaller, and then we have our smallest triangles. Now we have to pick a place on our paper for the vanishing point. You can put it anywhere you want on the paper. You can put it right in the middle. You can put it on the side, the edge, wherever you want it to go. I'm going to put it not quite in the middle, but not quite in the center. That's our vanishing point. That's where all our lines are going to lead to. So now we're going to take our papers. So I have the biggest, medium, small, and I'm going to take the biggest ones first. I'm going to arrange them around that point so that the point of the triangle leads to that vanishing point. And I want to spread out the bigger triangles so they're not all in the same spot. So kind of going around in a circle to create the area where that vanishing point is. And it's okay if they're not all completely triangles, points at the end. We just try our best. We do want to make sure that the pencil lines are underneath so that we're not seeing those pencil lines. So now I have the 4 that are the biggest around in a circle. I'm going to take the smaller one, the medium-sized ones, excuse me, the medium-sized triangles that we created. I'm going to space them out very similarly. Spread them out. We're just arranging them to figure out where we want them to go and how it's going to look. So it's not going to be perfect. And I can see my pencil line. It's not going to be perfect, but remember, we're going to glue these down and that'll make it a little easier. All right, so we see that it's starting to come together. All lines are leading to our vanishing point. So now we're going to work on the smallest ones and we're going to place them in between the big ones and the medium-sized ones around and fill in those gaps. All right, so now I have all my lines leading to the vanishing point. The paper's going off the edge, and that's okay. Once it dries, we're gonna cut off those long pieces. We want them to stay long because we don't know exactly how short we might make them otherwise. So if they're too short, they might not reach all the way to the edge. And we want the illusion that all lines are leading to that vanishing point. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these down nice and neatly. Right now, we can't really see that vanishing point, but we're going to make sure that we see that vanishing point really clearly once we have our lines glued down. All right, now that all my lines are glued around my paper, you can see that it's really small in the center and it starts getting bigger and wider as it comes out. So that's where our vanishing point is. That means that everything is so small at that point, it's so far away in the distance. And up here is very close up. So we are going to use our analogous colors to create circles that represent where they are inside this 1-point perspective. So if they're really close to that vanishing point, they're going to be really small. If they're up here with where it's really close to us, they're going to be really big. And if they're in the middle, they're going to be about medium size. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the circles, little, medium, and bigger, to go around our 1-point perspective. Now I do have a trick for cutting out multiple circles at a time. You can fold your paper and you can either draw a circle or you can just use your scissors and cut out a circle, and that way you have more than one circle that you're creating at a time. So you don't have to do one circle at a time. You can cut out. Make sure there's no fold in the middle. You have to make sure that they're separate. And you can cut out multiple shapes at once if you fold your paper. All right, so I'm going to cut out all the circles and think about where I want them to be placed on our 1-point perspective. All right, so as you can see, I have cut out and glued on my circles. I did 4 of each color. You can do 3 or 4. I ended up not using one of my green circles. I didn't think it would fit well. Maybe I could put it here, but then it kind of doesn't make sense that this would be medium sized and this one would be really big. So that's why I kind of was like, well, maybe it doesn't really work. So 3 or 4 circles of the same color. So you have about 12 circles, 11 or 12, maybe 10 to 12 circles on your paper. I went by color order. So we have green, then blue, and then purple. You don't have to arrange it that way. You can do, you can create circles that are different colors as long as you are using 3 or 4 analogous colors on your design. So you can see that the smallest circles are in the center. The medium-sized circles are kind of around the middle of the paper, and then the bigger circles are on the outside. You can even have some coming off the page so that when you go to cut out, you're going to flip it over and you're going to cut along the edge to cut out and finish your project. So I'm just going around in the circle once the, or in the square of the paper. Once the shapes are dry enough to go along the edge and cut off those extra pieces. I think there's one more. And there we have it, boys and girls. We created a 1-point perspective using analogous colors and circles going towards a vanishing point. I cannot wait to see what you create. I hope you enjoy this project, and we'll see you next time.